Hi everyone, welcome to this Batchline tutorial video. Today we're going to be looking at the new Batchline dashboard and specifically the right hand tab, which is going to be helping us to think about our stock, what's performing, what's not performing, what we might want to order, what we might want to return, and things like this. So the first thing we're going to look at is this graphic down here. So like most of the graphs here, we're going to get a little explainer. So here we see this is the top 15 titles by sale value this year. Okay, so like the graph on the other side, if we hover over, like all of the graphs on the dashboard, if we hover over, we'll get a little breakdown of what this is talking about. So we can see we've sold 131 of this particular book this year. We've taken £2,225.69, and Batchline thinks that we've made about £1,057 from that book, and we've calculated a sales ratio of 0.05. Sales ratio being the cost of sales over the average stock, I believe, or average stock over cost of sales. This is meant to give us an idea of how a title is performing, and lower numbers are generally better. It means we're turning over the stock faster. So this is by sale value. Again, we can change that just like we could on the graph on the left. We can change that to sale margin or units sold. So if we change that to units sold, we've still got the same books in the list, but they might be in a slightly different order, depending on what we want to see. What are the things that we've had most of in stock over this, top 15 titles by average stock quantity, like how many of this is showing us, what we had a lot of stock of. Sales ratio, this is naturally going to be the other way because smaller numbers are better with sales ratio. What are some really good books in terms of how many we've had in stock versus how many they've sold. And we can change how many we see here. We could fit a couple more on the screen here. Maybe that's a bit more interesting. Or maybe we'd like to see our bottom 25 titles and what they've sold. Now this is going to ignore any that we've not sold any of, because that's probably going to be quite a lot in any period, unless we look at kind of all time, and we don't want to just show loads of zeros here. So these are our bottom selling titles, and you can fiddle about with these to show exactly what you want to show. The other thing that this graph will show is category performance. So now we're going to see the top 25 categories. Maybe that's not so interesting because we've probably only got around 25 categories. So maybe we want to see the top 15. Again, we can hover over and we can see a breakdown of what's the revenue for that category, what's the number of sales. They're kind of a bit of a crossover here with the category sales pie chart on the left. But it means you can, have the dashboard set up the way that you like it, and you can be seeing the stats that you want to see here. So maybe we're more interested in, what are our bottom categories at the moment? What are the ones that are underperforming? And so the other thing we can do on this one is if we choose title performance, this is all of the titles, and then we can filter that by category. So we might want to actually see in cookery, what are our top 15 titles in cookery, and so on. You can go through these and configure it how you would like. And then very much like the graphs over on the left hand side or in the center, we can actually click on this graph to get a bit of a deeper dive into that data. But we'll go into that in more detail and how you can configure this tab in the next video. Okay, thanks a lot. See you next time. Bye.